Hello everyone, I am the Enforcer, and welcome to the breaking news. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and support us on Patreon, link in description below. Today we have breaking news coming from around the world, as we've been able to hear significant developments from inside of Thailand and Cambodia that the peace treaty that was signed into force last month is now being rescinded, after several Thai soldiers were wounded today near to the border due to Cambodian military action. At this moment, Thailand is now reinforcing the border with tanks, troops, and artillery in preparations for a larger conflict which will begin between the two countries within a very short period of time. Meanwhile, inside of the Republic of India, a large explosion has occurred today within New Delhi, which is believed to be some form of a terrorist attack, as ammunition has been found at the blast site and nearly 8 Indians have now been reported dead as a result of the explosion. Meanwhile, we have also heard that war will be returning to the area of the Islamic Republic of Iran, as Israel and Iran appear to be very close to starting off a new conflict due to Iran's continuation of its nuclear arms programs and also the continuation of a hostile posture in support of terrorist forces within the region. In the same time, the Israelis have also conducted more strikes against the Hezbollah forces within southern Lebanon, while a Russian company, Lukoil, has now declared force majeure within an Iraqi oil field, clearly showing telltale economic signs of near collapse within the Russian Federation for its most significant industries. Inside the Russian Federation, we have also been able to hear that the Russian Federation is denying the claims that mass mobilization is now underway, although that there are significant mobilizations that are happening across the country at this moment. Belarus has also announced that Oreshniks are to go on full alert here in December inside of their own country, while at the same time there is an ongoing crisis about the liquidation of Russian assets that is still plaguing Belgian leadership at this moment. In the meantime, Ukrainian armed forces are holding the line, and we have been able to see further proof of the damage that was caused at the port of Tuamse from the Ukrainian attacks last night. We have a huge amount of news to cover in this video, and we're going to be making sure to cover the news from the largest stories first, and then working our way on down into the smaller stories throughout the video. And so, moving on into our first and most major story of the day, we have been able to hear that the peace treaty between Thailand and Cambodia has been officially rescinded by the Thai after the peace treaty was violated last night. The Royal Thai Air Force has announced the termination of the peace treaty with Cambodia after 2 Thai soldiers were injured by a newly planted landmine on Thai territory, allegedly laid by Cambodian forces along the border. At this moment, Thai forces are now moving into position around the area as the Royal Thai Army has ordered reinforcements to the border with Cambodia, including armor and artillery, following the announced suspension of the peace agreement signed last month between the two countries in Malaysia. This is something that is quite interesting, as we did not expect the complete collapse of the peace treaty within such a short period of time. As a matter of fact, it's only been less than a month, around 3 weeks, since the peace treaty was signed in Malaysia and has now been rescinded due to more hostile actions between the two parties. The Royal Thai Army is reporting that soldiers with the Cambodian army opened fire with small arms in the direction of a military outpost on the border between the two countries earlier, in an attempt to provoke retaliation from Thailand. This incident comes only hours after the Prime Minister of Thailand, Anutin Charnvirakul, announced the suspension of the peace agreement signed last month alongside Malaysia and the United States, as well as any and all cooperation with Cambodia, following another incident that occurred earlier today, in which a pair of Thai soldiers were injured, with one losing a leg after stepping on a landmine while patrolling the Thai-Cambodia border region. This is something that is wildly unexpected, as we considered the peace treaty and its implementation to be quite a shock in the first place, considering that the peace treaty did not fix the underlying issue of who controls the Preah Vihear temple along the border, which is the main point of contention between the two countries. Nevertheless, the peace treaty was signed, and the United States stood to gain a great deal of benefits from the peace treaty, as we were positioning ourselves to start supporting and investing in the two countries quite heavily. Now, as a result of the 2 Thai soldiers that stepped on the landmine earlier, the Kingdom of Thailand has now rescinded the peace treaty and is moving further reinforcements into the area. And now the Royal Thai Army has reported that the Royal Army of Cambodia has actually opened fire on their forces at an outpost around the area of Surin and Ubon Ratchathani, one or the other, and is now going to be responding to that as well. It does appear that war will be returning between the two sides, and it is only a matter of time before larger firefights begin to break out like we have seen previously. With that in mind, we do know that the two sides are once again going to be fighting over the ownership of the Preah Vihear temple, which is a somewhat significant temple, at least culturally and historically for the two sides, which straddles directly along the border region itself. This temple is one that a lot of people from outside of Cambodia and Thailand would not understand the significance of, myself included. Nevertheless, that is not stopping the two sides from continuing to fight over who owns this temple. Right now, the temple is within Cambodian ownership, with the northern part of the complex, or the northern part of the facility, being within Thai control, as you can see right here. Still, the two sides have a large amount of military presence around this area, and this is believed to be the region where the landmine was set by the Cambodians that the Thai soldiers stepped on and then were injured as a result. We will most likely see, as a result of this upcoming war, that the Royal Thai Army will most likely wipe the floor against the Cambodians, considering that they have a larger army that's better funded and better equipped, and this may force the Prey of the Har Temple to come under the control of the Kingdom of Thailand. Moving on from that situation, however, within the area, and moving further on and into India in New Delhi, we have been able to hear of a significant event that has happened within the area, as the United States Embassy in India has issued a security alert after a car exploded at a metro station in Delhi, with at least 8 people being killed as a result of the explosion. An explosion has occurred directly near to the area of a metro station in Delhi from what appears to be an automobile that was laden with explosives and firearms. From what we understand, firearms and bullets have been found around the area scattered after the explosion, a 9mm being seen here, and the remains of the car also being seen in this picture as well. It is quite clear at the moment that this is some form of an act of terror. We're not exactly sure who conducted this attack or why, but it is one of the largest casualty events that we've seen inside of the Republic of India that appears to be connected to terror-related activities outside the Pahalgam massacre that occurred in Jammu and Kashmir earlier on in the year. This is leading us to believe that this may be the result of continued tensions between India and Pakistan, and that this group may be affiliated with the Pakistanis, although that's not entirely certain, as there are a large amount of groups that have a bone to pick with the Republic of India's government, including those of domestic groups that are inside of India alone and do not have any affiliation with the Islamic Republic of Pakistan whatsoever. We'll be waiting to see what the Indians make out of this attack. We are very sure that they'll be making a claim within the next 24 to 48 hours of exactly who they believe is behind the attack, and if the Republic of India states that this attack appears to have had any sort of connection to the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, we can be guaranteed at that point that a larger conflict will begin once more between India and Pakistan, and the long-awaited Operation Sindoor 2.0 that the Republic of India has endlessly been talking about will restart once again. Maybe not the best idea, considering that Pakistan did largely win the last border war between the two sides, shooting down around 5 Indian aircraft and also causing a significant amount of casualties on the ground for the Republic of India's armed forces. Nevertheless, that may not stop India from restarting a war with Pakistan, and we also understand that Pakistan will eventually have to restart a war with India to try and secure their water supplies, which are being held up by the Indians within the area of Jammu and Kashmir. Outside of that, the Russian Federation and North Korea are continuing to build their relations as a new bridge is being built between the two sides. This is going to be a railroad bridge from what we understand, and from what we are seeing at the moment, about 110 meters of the bridge has already been built from the Russian side towards to North Korea. This bridge is going to be supplanting a large amount of the traffic that is brought over the Friendship Bridge, which is just north of this, which you can see in the satellite picture right here, and will be helping to increase railroad traffic and supply volume between the two sides, possibly even allowing for to and fro traffic to occur simultaneously, with one bridge allowing for transport of goods into Russia and one bridge allowing for goods to be transported directly into North Korea. This is showing that once again the two sides are beginning to increase their cooperation and work with each other, and they're continuing to supply each other with larger amounts of equipment of unknown types. We generally know what the North Koreans are supplying the Russians, but we don't know exactly what the Russians are giving the North Koreans in return. Moving on from that, though, we do understand that the Russians are probably not giving the North Koreans any money, as we have been able to hear that a major Russian company, Lukoil, has declared force majeure in the West Kurna-2 oil fields in Iraq, one of the world's largest oil fields. From what we understand, Lukoil has run out of money to be able to continue to pay the oil field for a license to be able to operate within the area. For this reason, they have declared force majeure, and this now means that all payments by the Iraqi authorities have stopped to Lukoil, and they will no longer be making any payments of any type to the Lukoil company, because the Lukoil company no longer has the money to function or operate within the area, and has generally declared bankruptcy as of today. This is once again giving us an idea that Russia's major economic giants, which are the petroleum industries, are once again facing a near absolute collapse. And at this moment, it's only a matter of time before these companies go completely under and bring the Russian economy along with it. Meanwhile, the Israelis are continuing their campaigns against the Hezbollah forces within southern Lebanon, with new airstrikes being conducted within the region. We cannot show those clips here on YouTube, at least at the moment, but if you would like to see them, there is a link in the description below this video to this map where you can click on this marker within southern Lebanon. It is a uncolored and unidentified marker, but you can click on it and see the airstrikes for yourself. Still, the Israelis appear to be preparing for war with the Islamic Republic of Iran. This is the message of the day. War is coming to pretty much every single region that is near to the equator, as Israel and Iran are on the brink of a new war. Harsh sanctions against Iran have been reinstated, with nuclear talks collapsing, and according to Israeli intelligence, the Iranians continue to secretly enrich uranium. The New York Times reports that the region is entering a deadlocked and extremely dangerous phase that could spiral out of control at any moment. Israel views Iran's nuclear program as an existential threat, and more analysts now believe that a new war is inevitable. According to the paper, Iran is preparing its response. Missile factories are operating around the clock, and authorities have vowed to launch up to 2,000 rockets simultaneously if Israel strikes first. That's completely impossible, by the way, but that's what they're claiming. Air defenses in the Persian Gulf are being reinforced, and regional powers are already discussing potential strikes on Iranian facilities. The claim of launching up to 2,000 rockets simultaneously is absolute bogus. There's no way that the Islamic Republic of Iran would ever be able to do that. That requires a large amount of TELs, which are transport erector launchers, which are the vehicles that actually carry the rockets, set them up, and then launch them. The Islamic Republic of Iran only has a limited number of these TELs, and while they can have hundreds or thousands of missiles, their ability to conduct volume by fire is heavily limited by the amount of TELs that they currently have within their possession. And knowing that the Israelis destroyed several dozen of those during the last 12-day war, it's highly unlikely that the Islamic Republic of Iran has been able to replace those TELs, the trailers, and launchers that would be necessary to see a volume of fire that would reach even the hundreds, or much less the thousands. But it does appear that war will be returning back into the region, and generally it's not a matter of if, it is going to be a matter of when. Moving on out of that region, however, and further on up and into Europe, we have also heard from Belgian authorities that there is an ongoing crisis in the country about the liquidation of Russian financial assets. From what we understand, this is triggering a crisis meeting between the EU Commission and Belgium, and they are trying to figure out what exactly to do about liquidating these assets. There is a large amount of details that are involved, at least on the diplomatic side, about liquidating these assets that could lead to significant fallout from the Russian Federation. For this reason, Belgium is incredibly hesitant about liquidating the assets, which are generally inside of their country and really nowhere else, and they also are continuing to hold up the process as a result of that general apprehension. The Russian Federation also appears to be giving a good reason for apprehension, at least at the moment for Belgium, as Russia has claimed, and this is a little bit of a rabbit hole I'll have to explain here, Russia has claimed that they're not mobilizing, it's just routine work with reservists, but recruitment has begun in 20 regions to guard critical facilities following a law signed by Putin on the 4th of November. All of these regions are mobilizing brand new conscripts for the Russian military for, and I quote, defense of critical facilities. This is not what we're understanding it to be, however. This appears to be a full year-round conscription of anyone and everyone that they can find to greatly increase and bolster the number of Russian forces that the Russians have in their command. This is something that is giving us an idea that the Russian Federation is using this as a guise to be able to build up a large manpower pool to be able to possibly start a war with NATO with. That is a high likelihood. We do understand that the Russians economically are absolutely spent, and on top of that, the Russian Federation is seeing very little success in Ukraine over nearly 4 years of war. For this reason, they're getting desperate, and we do understand that one of the acts of desperation that the Russians may follow through with is starting a larger war with NATO, and forcing a nuclear confrontation as a result of that conventional conflict. People do not really understand this when they talk about this side of things, but the Russians do not have to win a conventional war to get anything from the West in that scenario. They don't even have to get close to winning on day one. All they have to do is start an actual shooting war with NATO, where both sides are engaging in open battle, and even if we are winning off of the bat, the risk would be that the Russians would start to use tactical nuclear weapons on NATO, which would open up Pandora's box, as we would start to use tactical nuclear weapons right back on the Russians. And if that continues on, it is highly likely that could turn into a strategic nuclear exchange that could lead to the destruction of most nations within the Northern Hemisphere. Because of that, that is the reason why the Russians would pursue such a path of action. They do not have to win at all. They just have to ensure that they would have a credible threat of destroying the West and use that threat to get leverage to be able to achieve something for themselves in a negotiation. That's what they're looking for. And that's what's incredibly concerning about these actions right now, because it is once again making it appear quite likely that the Russian Federation may try and begin a larger war with NATO here in the future, and they're already conscripting the manpower for it. Outside of that, Belarus has also stated that the Oreshnik intercontinental ballistic missiles, or intermediate range ballistic missiles, depending on who you ask, will be going on alert in Belarus in December. The Belarusian dictator Lukashenko has announced that Russia's Oreshnik ballistic missile system, capable of carrying nuclear warheads, will enter combat duty in Belarus in December. He described it as a mobile, never staying in one place and patrolling designated locations, which is what a transporter erector launcher does. This guy is not exactly the smartest guy. He is a little stupid, but Lukashenko added that he had informed the U.S. about the presence of tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus, noting they are kept in a secure location and recently serviced in Russia before being returned. This seems to be suggesting that the Russians are the ones controlling the Oreshniks, and that's what we're generally assuming at the moment, because it would be absolutely stupid and asinine for the Russians to give the Belarusians nuclear weapons that are actually under Belarusian control. Because then that means that Belarus could go rogue, and there's really nothing stopping them from doing that at that point, because they could just equally nuke Russia like they could anyone else. Still, it does appear that the Russians and the Belarusians are together in conducting nuclear escalation against the West, and continuing to ramp up their abilities and threats in terms of nuclear firepower inside of Belarus to further threaten nations within Europe. Now, still, moving on from that, we have also been able to see that Ukrainian attacks in Tuapse generated a great deal of damage last night. A sinkhole has actually formed on the beach, and it is a wildly large one, as a matter of fact. That is inside of the area. From what we understand, this has caused geological instability within the Tuapse area, and that is the reason why that sinkhole appeared on the beach. The attack did once again hit the oil loading platforms in the port last night and appears to have caused significant damage. Meanwhile, we've also heard of a new Russian force pushing across the border near to the small village of Bolehivka, which is only about 2 or 3 miles away from the current active front line in the Kharkiv Oblast, but heavy battles are ongoing between the Ukrainians and Russians within this area at the moment, and we have yet to ascertain the exact situation of the front line yet, considering that happened only 40 minutes ago. Outside of that, we've also been able to see that the Russians are continuing training with the most advanced technologies, including attempting to take down FPV drones with sticks. You see him missing, but the next guy won't.
Пизда ему.
You see them having a good bit of fun with it.
Где только пропал. Один пропал, ебал. И похуй. Один пропал.
Generally something that you wouldn't want to play around with in real practice, because we've seen Russians trying to use everything from shovels to rifles to sticks and everything else in between, and they never really seem to work. So while that kind of worked in training, in real life, it's going to be a totally different story. We also saw the Ukrainians shoot down a kamikaze drone with an Mi-8 helicopter, which was quite impressive considering we got a third-person view of it when it happened. We can see the Shahed catching on fire after taking machine gun fire from the helicopter and then impacting into the field below. A very interesting sort of a sight, and helicopters are becoming a very common part of the Ukrainian anti-drone defense network inside of their country. But nevertheless, folks, that is all of the major news that we have to cover over the course of this day. I have to thank you all greatly for watching the short war video. We're always honored here on the Enforcer channel to know that so many people in the hundreds of thousands continue to choose the Enforcer channel to be their primary source of news. And if y'all have enjoyed, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you would like to, support us on Patreon. The link is in the description below. For the cost of about a cup of coffee every single month, about $5, you too can help the Enforcer channel to remain financially feasible. The folks who are supporting us on Patreon, massive shout out to them, help us to be able to pay our bills and keep the lights on and allow us to focus on this every single day as our full-time job, conducting and covering the news from around the world. And so with that, folks, I thank you all so much once again for watching, and we will see you all in the next one.